mute everyone. All right, good evening, everybody. It is so wonderful to be here with everyone and to be able to learn together and to connect and grow and learn the ways of Hashem, right? The ways of Hashem, the ways Hashem wants us to grow and to connect. So it really is an amazing opportunity for me to be able to learn this incredible teachings of Ramchal in his masterpiece Mesilat Yesharim with out loud. I'm learning it for myself. I'm selfish, and I just want to share a little bit with everyone, right? So this is my own personal journey. I don't want anyone to ever think in these classes that I'm trying to preach something to others. I'm not preaching to anyone. I'm trying to teach myself, and hopefully in the process, sharing that with others. We spoke last week about the terrible trait of anger. I bet you that nobody got angry this week, right? I almost got angry, but I didn't. Almost. Very close. Okay? So you got to be very, very careful about not getting angry. We spoke about the terrible, devastating effects it has on us, on our relationship with others, our relationship with God, etc., etc. So now we're going to talk about envy and jealousy and how dangerous of a trait this is. Now, again, let's track back 1 minute to remember what this is all about. What this is all about, this whole conversation that Ramchal is having with us in chapter 11 of Mesilat Yesharim, is how does one become completely clean of all negativity? Okay? How does someone become clean from all bad traits, from all bad habits, from all bad temptations? How do we make ourselves pristine and holy? Because we can't take the next step of holiness if we still have these malfunctions in our life, right? If someone is angry, that's a malfunction of the soul. If someone is jealous, that's a malfunction of the soul. How do we cleanse ourselves so that the soul can be fully connected with the Almighty? That's our goal. That's what we are aiming for in our study. So Ramchal begins this little section of nikiyut from envy, cleanliness from envy. He starts as follows, page 247. Hakina gam hi eina ela chisron yidiyah v'sichlut. He says envy is also nothing but ignorance and foolishness. What does it mean also? Because that's what we said about anger. Anger, you know why someone gets angry? Because things don't go their way. Oh, why don't they go your way? Because the Almighty didn't want it to go your way. He wanted it to go His way. So we're getting upset thinking that it was Joe who was really the person who was hurting us, but it wasn't Joe. It was Hashem. It was Hashem sending that person to say that thing or to infuriate us. Really, it's not that person. It's not that person. It's not that individual. It's not that child. It's not that person driving the car in front of us. It is the Almighty placing that challenge in front of us. So now the same thing, says the Ramchal, is with envy. Envy is a lack of our understanding, and it's only foolishness. Ki ein hamakne marviach klum leatzmo. Since the one who is envy does not gain anything for himself. Do you understand? When someone has envy, they gain nothing. V'gam lo mafsid lemi shu miskanebo, and he doesn't either take away or harm the person he envies. So not only I don't benefit, but I'm not able to, right? I don't harm them. Ve'eno elo mafsid la'atzmo. His only accomplishment is that he harms himself. That's your accomplishment. You want to harm yourself? Go be jealous of other people. You're not gonna gain anything. They're not gonna lose. You're not gonna be able to take it from them. All you're gonna do is hurt yourself. Like the verse that I already mentioned from Job 5:2, which we mentioned, Ki le'avil yaharog kas, right? For anger kills the fool. And now he says, it continues, the verse says, Ufote tamis kina, and envy slays the gullible. Envy slays the gullible. What does that mean? The most foolish form of envy is v'amnam yesh mi shesichlusa rabba kolkach. All envy is foolish. However, there exists someone whose foolishness is so great ad she'im yir lechaveru eza tova, that if he sees his fellow enjoying some good fortune, any good fortune, yit ashesh be'atzmo, he becomes distraught. V'yidag v'yitzdair, and he frets and agonizes. Ad she'afilu hatovos shebiyodo lo yanuhu, to the point it frustrates him and agonizes him so much, to the point that even the good fortunes that he enjoys afford him no pleasure. So even the good things that you do have, so let's say you have a competitor. You have a competitor, someone who wronged you, someone who did something to you, right? And then you see that they buy a new car. Oh, what a disgusting person. What a show off, right? But really, the reason we're doing that is because we eat ourselves up. We eat ourselves up that that the good fortune that they have, we can't, what we call in Yiddish fargin. We can't give them the pleasure of their accomplishment. But not only that, is that now it'll make your own existence, your own pleasures, not pleasurable, because you're busy hating on the other person. You're busy, speaking about how terrible the other individual is, so you don't even enjoy your own things. You don't enjoy your own car, right? It's like someone who, and I actually know a sad story like this, but a friend who spent an enormous amount of money on a specific item, and the first time he was showing, he was very excited about his new car. Like, it was a new car, very, very expensive car. First time I met with him. I brought this example numerous times in different ways. First time I sat in his car, he was so excited, he just got it. And we pulled up to the light, and two cars pulled up next to him. And he looked at both cars, and he's like, huh, maybe I should have gotten those. And he had just spent deep 6 digits on this car. Okay? I'm talking about a really high-end luxury car. A supercar. All right? And what is he busy with? Busy looking at what other people have. He doesn't even enjoy what he has. And it's exactly what I said to him. I said, are you crazy? I said, you just spend so much money on your car, and all you're looking at is what the other cars are? Maybe you should have gotten this. Maybe you should have gotten that. Enjoy what you have. How many times do we do that? If we go to a wedding, now, men, it's less common. I will admit, it is less common. This specific area is a little bit less common. But you look and you see someone else who has a nicer outfit, nicer jewelry, right? But look at what you have. It doesn't make a difference anymore, because they feel like someone else has a nicer one, something else. So I already, you can enjoy yours. Why does someone else's having something influence you? It shouldn't. It really shouldn't. Okay, let's continue. Ufote tamis kina. The envy slays the gullible. The most foolish form of envy. Okay, we said there exists someone whose foolishness is so great, ad she'im yir lechavero ezetovi, he sees his fellow enjoying some good fortune, yisashesh be'atzmo, he becomes distraught, v'yidag v'yitzdair, and he frets and agonizes afilu atovus shebiyodo lo yahanuhu, to the point that even the good fortunes that he does enjoy, right, that even the good fortunes that he enjoys afford him no pleasure. Okay. Mitzdair ma shehu ro biyad chaver, due to the agony that he expresses as a result of what he sees in his fellow's possessions. Our sages tell us here, ignorance. So he says, why is envy nothing but ignorance and foolishness? Foolishness I hear, but why ignorance? So sages explain, ignorance because the envious person does not realize that whatever a person receives in this world is heavenly ordained for him. And foolishness because it is actually counterproductive, as Ramchal will now explain. So it's both, and you have to understand that what the Ramchal tells us here, what the Ramchal tells us in this entire book, is what we know as Ruach HaKodesh. Anybody know what Ruach HaKodesh is? It's divinely inspired. Right? Divinely inspired wisdom. This is not, some individual who decided to write a book, but rather this is a godly document that was given through the Ramchal. Now, the Gaon of Vilna was the one who said that. The Gaon of Vilna said it about the Ramchal's writing in this book, except he said not everything. I think it's till chapter 12 that he said everything was divinely inspired. Because according to the Gaon of Vilna, one of the pieces of Talmud that are quoted in chapter 12 has one word that the Gaon of Vilna, in his opinion, should be taken out. So he says it can't be divinely inspired if the word is there that it shouldn't be there. That's just a little side note. But the Gaon of Vilna, imagine the Gaon of Vilna is telling us that this book is divinely inspired. It means this is God's document here, that we are able to learn about life. What he's telling us here is that the reason why the Ramchal is saying ignorance and foolishness, it's not just because, they say in public speaking that when you're trying to bring out a point, you can say it in three different ways. Specifically three. It is terrible. It is foolish. It is ignorant. Right? You use three different terminologies to express what it is you want to say. But the Ramchal wasn't going to the school of public speaking and inspirational, motivational speaking. Right? When Ramchal tells us ignorance and foolishness, he means ignorance and foolishness. Okay? Why ignorance? Because you're ignorant and not understanding that everything's from Hashem. And foolish, he's going to explain why. Okay? So he says, due to the agony that he expresses as a result of what he sees in his fellow's possession. Now, if you look at the bottom of page 247, you'll see there's under the bottom, the footnote has over here a quote. I want to read to you. It says as follows: Orchos Tzadikim, which is a different book, a Mussar book, cites a fable that brings out how a supremely envious person would rather suffer than see someone else succeed more than him. An envious person and a desirous person were summoned by the king, who made the following offer. He would provide one of them with anything that he asked for, but the other would receive double. Okay, this is the offer. I'll provide one of you with anything that you ask for, but the other would receive double. The envious person did not want to ask first because he could not stand the thought that someone else would have twice as much as he had. Right? While the desirous person did not want to ask first because he longed for the double portion. Finally, the desirous one convinced the envious one to go first. He proceeded to ask the king to gouge out one of his eyes so that his companion would have both his eyes gouged out. Okay? That's to the point where he doesn't want to see, right, his friend enjoy. That's what an envious person is. So the highest level of envy is the envy that can't, what we call fargin in Yiddish. Right? He can't deal with the fact that someone else has something good. Can't handle it. It bothers me that someone else has good. It's a terrible envy. It's a very foolish envy. Why? What does it bother you that someone else has good? Does it take away from you? Does it take away from you that someone else drives a nicer car than you? Does it take away from you that someone else goes on a nicer vacation than you? Now, I want to just give a disclaimer here that in our culture that we live in, many times people don't realize the challenge that they place before other people by not being careful. And I'll give you an example. So it's very nice someone goes on a beautiful vacation with their family, right? But not everyone can afford to go on a beautiful vacation with their family. Many people would like to. They would love to go to Disneyland, and they would love to go on a cruise, and they would love to go on a on a tour through the Straits of Italy, and they go right many beautiful places in the world. But does that have to be posted on everybody's Facebook and YouTube and put Instagram and put everything on so that every person can see all of the beautiful vacations that a person has? And potentially someone could become jealous of us. You know, I'll tell you, the old Jerusalemites, right? The old Yerushalmis, you know what they would do when they would see a beautiful baby? They would spit and then say, "Ugh, an ugly baby." That was the compliment you'd get if your baby was a cute baby. You know why? Because they didn't want to bring up the evil eye, is what it's called. They didn't want to bring up the evil eye. When you compliment someone, you say, "Wow, that's a nice car," right? Just hope that there isn't an evil eye put on it. Meaning, what is an evil eye? There are many different ways we can approach this, but think of it as follows. You know, a person gets something, gets a new car. Let's say a car is an easy example. A person gets a new car, and they want to, and they're very excited about their new car. So now someone comes over and compliments. Wow, that's a nice car. Wow, right? It's a nice car. You bought yourself a nice Bentley there. Beautiful. So now, by the fact that someone is complimenting or that's showing off to other people, that can cause the heavenly angels to start saying, one second, one second, one second. Does this person really deserve this? Do they really deserve it? I'm not so sure. Let's bring up his account. Let's bring up his file. Let's see why he deserved this. And then they can cause for there to be a damage to the goodness that the person experienced. All right? Where something can happen because now the Talmud is very serious about this. Talmud says that most damage that happens to a person comes from the evil eye. What does that tell us? That we have to hide things a little bit more. Hide not in the sense of not being honest, on the contrary. What it means is not to show off. Not to put everything on the front page of the newspaper, not to put everything on the front page of our Facebook, and not to put everything on our Instagram, not to show off everything to the world. Now, is it nice to put certain things? Yeah, you can put a story, you can put a picture of your child. Those are things that are reasonable. They're today, in our generation, acceptable. But we also have, but you know that can get a person in trouble with what this evil eye is. Now, we have to understand it's a reality. It's the reality of this world, right? It's not something which is pleasant, right? I think I may have told you back in 1989, I believe it was, my father bought, which to me was the fanciest car in the world, right? He bought the new Toyota Camry. And I remember my father came home late at night, so I was already sleeping. The next morning, I woke up to go with my father to shul, and my father welcomes me. There were a lot of buttons. It was the generation. There were a lot of buttons in the car, right? So I remember my father says, "Welcome to the cockpit." You know, it's like and he was like really excited about this new car that he got, and I was also very excited. I thought this was the most right. Okay, that week, or maybe it was even the first day my father had the car, my uncle came to visit. And he just wanted to go to the convenience store to pick up something. So he borrowed my father's car and came back, and the front corner light was broken. First couple of days, my father owned that car. And I remember this lesson because my father, when he sold that car 5, 6 years later, that same light was broken. Never fixed it. And he said, Ain hara, it's an evil eye. He bought a brand new car, someone must have put an evil eye on it, and that took it away. That broken light took it away. I'm not getting rid of it. I'm leaving it there so that there's no more evil eye on the car. Understand? It's an important lesson to not poke other people's eyes out. You know what? They look, wow, it's so beautiful. Ooh, that's a nasty punch of the light over there. Good, no more evil eye. Right? You eliminated it. It's an important thing for us to realize that from the perspective of being a responsible person, not to intentionally go and poke other people's eyes out. Try to keep modest. Not everyone needs to see everything. You can go with your simpler car when you're going to an event, right? You can go with it, right? Not everyone needs to see everything. You can park 2 blocks away, right? It doesn't mean that you can't enjoy life. Don't poke other people's eyes out. Don't bring the heavenly angels' attention to your possessions, right? Because they might not find favor 100% in everything that you've gotten and might want to take it away. Now, does that mean that we have to hide in a cave? No. Does that mean that we can't have anything good? No. Does that mean that you can't go on vacations? No. But I think we need to use a little bit more sensitivity than we're seeing in our generation. We have to use more sensitivity with how we publicize the things, the good fortunes that God gives us. Because not everyone has that same good fortune. Not everyone has that same ability as you do. So just to take it into consideration. Okay? So, and this is what King Solomon, the wisest of all men, says in Proverbs chapter 14, verse 30. Verekev atzamos kinha. A tender heart brings healing of the flesh, but envy brings rotting of the bones. When someone is jealous, they're rotting their bones away. It's such a fundamental principle. Okay, it cannot be stressed enough. Okay, are there any questions so far? Because I imagine some of what I mentioned, what we discussed, is not so simple for all of us. It certainly is not simple for me. It's something that we need to be cognizant of constantly. I have many more stories, but I don't think it's necessary. Many more stories of people who didn't realize the importance of their cautiousness, to be extra modest in how they display their good fortune, and how it could be a very a very painful learning for a person. Yes, Eliana, you got to unmute yourself.
Okay. How does this different from when you want something that another person has, but it's not that you wish them harm or you don't want them to have it as well? How does that differ?
All right, so Ramchal will get to that. We're going to talk about it. He's talking about the worst. The worst is somebody who just can't take the fact that someone else has something good.
Okay.
Okay, it's the worst.
Okay, I'll be patient.
We'll get to the next one. Any other questions? All right, magnificent. Let's continue. A less foolish but more common form of envy. However, there are others who, although they do not agonize and experience stress as much as the first type, so they are still able to derive pleasure from their own good fortune. I enjoy my stuff, right? Nevertheless, they feel some distress within themselves, or at the very least, their mood is dampened. When they see someone achieve a degree of success, that is superior to theirs. A person in this category will feel this way unless the more successful fellow is one of his closest friends. If it's one of my closest friends, I'm fine with him getting the promotion. But that guy getting the promotion and getting a better salary than me, and that guy being superior, no, that I'm not willing to accept. One of my friends, fine. But this guy, right? Right? And certainly he will feel this way if that fellow is one of those of whom he is not very fond. And certainly if he is a foreigner from another land. Right? The commentary here, if you look at the commentary, it says over here, deep envy eats away not only tender flesh, but even solid bone. It entirely destroys a person's life. Rav Shlomo Wolbe, anybody ever heard of him? Rav Shlomo Wolbe explains the verse homiletically in a manner that brings out Ramchal's point. The deeply envious person sees the good only in what others possess, and is so unable to appreciate anything of his own that he views even his bones, the essence of his physical being, as nothing but rot. He only values what other people have, but he doesn't value what he has. All right? And commentary number 125 here, he says, why does it say a foreigner from another land? A person is least likely to become envious if someone with whom he is very close, whose joy he might share, and most likely to become envious of a total stranger. In this vein, the sages stated that a person tends to be envious of all people except for his son and his student, both of whom he views as an extension of himself. So many times what will happen is that a person really is, the only reason he's excited about this person getting that raise because he sees it as his own success. He's proud of his son, so he sees it as his own success. So that falls into the category of arrogance, where it's just me, it's about me, right? So here he continues the Ramchal. He says, "V'tiri shebefiem efshar sheyomru davar kismechim o modim al tovaso." He says, "You will observe that with their mouths they might utter words as though they are happy or grateful of their fellow's success. Ach libam ra'ah b'kirbam, but inwardly their heart feels resentful. I can't see him become so successful. I can't see him outshine me, right? V'hu davar ya'ara al harov birov bnei adam." This is something that generally occurs to most people. Ki av al pi shelo yeh bal kino mamash, for even though most people are not the utterly envious type, amnam lo niku mimeno legamer, nevertheless they have not purged themselves of it completely. Kol shekain imbal umnuso matzliach ba. Surely one in this category will experience in this category will experience envy if someone who shares his occupation and is therefore a rival succeeds at that occupation. So let me give you an example. So you're think of any profession, you're a plumber. You're a plumber. And you have a friend or an acquaintance, somebody, a competition who opens up a plumbing company. And now they got the bigger contract than you. And they're much busier and they're more successful. Right? What does that have to do with you? But I'm jealous. Right? I can't stand that they're so successful, that they're doing better than me. Okay? Again, what leads to that? What leads to that? Two things. Number one, lack of knowledge of Hashem, that everything comes from Hashem. And if Hashem wanted you to be more successful, you would be. And number two is arrogance. That I think that I'm so great. Everything has to be, according to my desire, according to my success, and not greater. Why can't someone be greater than you? Is anybody here familiar with baseball? I'm sure you've all heard of baseball, football, basketball, right? Is there anybody who was ever as great as, a Michael Jordan, right? But we all see people playing basketball, and we don't see them crying that they're not as good as Michael Jordan. Okay, it's just the reality. He's very gifted, or he was very well trained, and became very successful at it. So now that you're not as good as him, so what? So think of it like that. If we think about the world like in that way, so then you know what? There are people who can be more successful than me in my same industry. They can do so much better than me. And it's fine. Our sages tell us in the Mishnah that there's one type of jealousy which is very, very good. And that's the envy and jealousy of spiritual pursuits. Kinat sofrim, when you're jealous of a fellow scholar, tarbeh chokhmah, and there'll only be more wisdom. If your child's school has a new competition down the block, guess what? You don't take them to a lawsuit. Don't do that. You know what you do? You say, we're going to be better. And we're going to provide a better school experience than they do, than anybody does. And that way we'll win the war. Right? That's what happens. That's what should happen with schools. It should happen with shuls. It should happen with anything spiritual. Any spiritual pursuit should be a competition. So that who benefits? God benefits. It's a very, very important thing. Okay, so he says like this. So here the Ramchal continues the danger of someone who is who is jealous of his rival. Okay, shekvar kan kol uman sani lechabre. For in truth, every professional resents his fellow professional. Everybody. It's a very important principle. By the way, the Chavetz Chaim talks about this in the laws of Lashon Hara. He says that a person needs to be careful not to
What happened?
We can't hear you, Rabbi.
We got everybody on here except the rabbi.
Yeah.
Do you hear me now?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm back on. Okay.
Welcome.
So what happened is, no, my computer just crashed. I have no idea why. I apologize. Please forgive me. I'm on my phone now, so I'll try to get a stand right here so we can continue in it. A YouTube broadcast, right? It's not fun. Okay. I apologize, everybody, for that brief interruption. Okay. So Ramchal continues here and he says, so I started saying as follows. I started saying that the Chavetz Chaim teaches us the danger of complimenting a a competitor. What does that mean? The danger of complimenting someone about their competitor. So let me give you an example. How many times have you spoken to a life insurance agent? Okay, you ever spoke to a life insurance agent? Very interesting. That if you ever do that, right, and they ask you, did you speak to anyone? Did you get any other quotes? Did you do this? You say, yeah, I spoke to so and so from my synagogue, right? He spoke to me. He says, look, I'm not going to say anything about him, but he doesn't have my qualifications. He doesn't know what I know. He doesn't have the degree that I have. He doesn't have the experience that I have. He doesn't work for as good a company as I do. You know what all those things that he said are? Lashon hara, right? He's talking negatively about. Chavetz Chaim says, don't talk to a craftsman about his competitor, because you'll never hear good words. I had the same thing with a doctor, a specific doctor dealing with a specific a specialty. And I said to him, do you know so-and-so? He says, yes, I know him. I said, oh, I'm just wondering if you thought that he was a reasonable, if I send people to him. He says, listen, he's okay. He's a doctor after all, but he doesn't have my experience. And he doesn't know the things that I know. And, they'll even give things to qualify what it is that they're saying by saying, oh, I sat with him on a panel and he really doesn't know his stuff, or some things like that. And it could be very derogatory and very negative about another person. And we have to be very, very, very careful about that. Not to say things about other people in the same profession. Ramchal continues here. He says, it's already an established fact that every professional resents his fellow professional. And he will certainly be envious of his competitor if the competitor succeeds in his craft more than he does. Okay, very important. So how envy results from ignorance? We mentioned earlier that it comes from ignorance and foolishness. So he says, however, if these people would only know and comprehend, if people understood that a person cannot touch and not encroach on what has been prepared for his fellow by even a hair's breadth. Do you know what that means? That means that if you're meant to get that contract, you'll get that contract. And your friend is not able to touch it with even a hair's breadth, because it's pre-designated by the Almighty. So he says, Ramchal continues here, Ve'akol ka'asher l'kol mehashemhu. He says, and everything that belongs to anyone is from Hashem. Everything is from Hashem. Kefiyatzaso hanifla v'chachmoso habilti nodas. According to his wondrous plan and his unfathomable wisdom. Hine lohoya lohem tam lehitztayer b'tovas re'ehem klal. They would recognize that they have no reason to agonize at all over the good fortune of their fellows. Why? Because they can't take away anything from you. Oh, he's stealing my clients. He can't steal anything from you if the Almighty doesn't designate it. The Talmud is so clear about this. It is impossible for a person to take any single thing away from you if God doesn't decree it. So why should I be jealous of someone else? Why should it hurt me or bother me that someone else is also able to be successful? He says in the times of Mashiach, envy will vanish. And this is what the prophet Isaiah notified us about the future era of Mashiach. That in order for the good of Israel, in order that the good of Israel should be complete, for Israel to derive the maximum pleasure from Hashem's gift, Yaktim HaKadosh Baruch Hu, the Almighty, will precede, before bestowing that goodness, Lahasir milvavenu hamida hameguna hazos, God will remove from our hearts this unseemly character trait. And no one will agonize over the good fortune of another. And moreover, one who is successful will have no need to conceal himself and his affairs because of the envy of others. Meaning that there is a time for us to really be careful and cautious about that. All right, and this is the message of the written of what was written by Isaiah 11:13. Visora kinas Ephraim bitsore Yehudi karesu. The jealousy of Ephraim will cease, and the oppressors of Judah shall be cut off. Ephraim lo yikane es Yehuda. Ephraim will no longer be jealous of Judah, and Judah will not harass Ephraim. This is akin to the peace and tranquility of the ministering angels, who are all happy in their service of Hashem. Ish al makomo, each one in his own station. No, none of them. None of the angels are jealous of any other angels. One second, but you have another angel who's a lot more prominent. Doesn't make a difference. Doesn't make a difference. It's an amazing thing. And one is not at all envious of his fellow. For they all comprehend the ultimate truth. And are thus ecstatic about the good fortune that they possess, and content with their lot. So what we see here is that the Almighty gives every person exactly what they need. Hashem gives every person the business that they need. Hashem gives them the skills that they need. Hashem gives every person all of the talents that they need to succeed in life. It's an amazing thing that if you see people from different backgrounds, people from different, from different income levels, people from different background of skill, of education. It's amazing. Even people of different mental or psychological abilities. We see that Hashem gives every person the talents and the abilities they need to succeed in life. It's an amazing thing, right? You can have people, you can have, someone who's an autistic child can be so gifted in specific areas. Every single human being is gifted in a different area, and every single human being is limited in a different area. And that is the beauty of life. The beauty of the life that we have here is to recognize that we all have gifts that the Almighty bestowed upon us, and we all have limitations that the Almighty limited us with. And that is the beauty of life. So the fact that someone else has good things, why does that take away from me? That shouldn't take away from me. That shouldn't hurt me in the least bit. That someone else has good, let them have good. Let them have blessing. Let them be successful. That is exactly what our sages teach us. It's an important thing for us to remember constantly, not to poke other people's eyes out. But when we see other people having good fortune, when we see other people doing well, we should be happy for them, even if it's our competitor. Be happy, congratulate them, and show your acknowledgement of Hashem's guidance of this world. And that it doesn't have to be all me. I don't need to be the one who is the most successful. Is there anybody here who thinks that they are the smartest human being alive? Anybody? You can show me by a raise of hand. Anybody thinks they're the smartest person alive? Does that hurt us if someone else is smarter than us? It shouldn't. It shouldn't hurt us. It shouldn't bother us in the least bit that someone else is smarter than us. All right? Okay, someone else has a different gift than us. The same thing goes for us here. it shouldn't bother us that someone else has good. On the contrary, we should be happy that the Almighty takes care of every single one of his creations. Those who are smarter, those who are dumber, those who are more capable, those who are less capable, the Almighty gives every single person the gift that they need to succeed. All right, my dear friends, are there any questions before we sign off tonight? Anybody?
Yeah.
All right, we're going to go offline here from our YouTube, so we can Okay, thank you to our friends on YouTube. Thank you so much for joining us. Please like and share these videos so that many of our friends online can learn.